सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्तर बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागी तव शुभ आशीष माही गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
housing treasures that span continents, cultures, and centuries. For 74 years, the museum has not only preserved priceless heritage, but has also served as a vibrant center for education, research, and public engagement, inspiring generations of visitors, students, and scholars. Today's celebration is not merely a commemoration of the past, but a reaffirmation of our commitment to safeguarding cultural heritage and making it accessible, relevant, and inspiring for future generations. It is also an occasion to acknowledge the collective efforts of scholars, conservators, administrators, and supporters who have contributed to the museum's enduring stature. We are deeply honored by the gracious presence of His Excellency Governor of Telangana and Chairperson of Salarjung Museum Board, Sri Jishnu Dev Verma, whose patronage and guidance continues to inspire us. On behalf of the museum fraternity, I extend a warm welcome to Your Excellency to this august occasion. Museum and a beacon of academic excellence, Governor of Telangana, who has always been an unwavering source of support for us. Next, I would like to welcome Srimati Chanda Pandit, Principal Accountant General A&D Telangana, who guides us towards financial discipline by chairing the Finance Committee of the Museum. A very special and heartfelt welcome to Sri Nawab Ahtherm Ali Khan, a distinguished member of the Salarjung family. The Salarjung Museum stands today as a living testament to the passion for art, heritage, and knowledge nurtured by the family, and your presence adds profound meaning to this celebration. We have amidst us our ex-board members as well, Professor Kishan Rao, Sri Zakir Hussain, Sri Kasim Ali, the architect who has designed Founders Gallery, Srimati Anuradha Reddy, member Intact Chapter Hyderabad, Sri Nagendra Reddy, former director in Salarjung Museum, and I warmly welcome all of you to this gracious occasion. I would like to welcome officers and dignitaries from Ministry of Tourism, in whose collaboration we are celebrating this Formation Day. I am glad to welcome all other officials, members of the press, art lovers, students, and other dignitaries present in the gathering today. I also extend a heartfelt welcome to all members of the Salarjung Museum staff, CISF security personnel, whose tireless efforts, professionalism, and commitment behind the scenes sustain and accessible to the public every day. Once again, I extend a cordial welcome to all the dignitaries on and off the dais and to everyone present here today. Your presence greatly enriches this memorable occasion. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been around the gallery of the founders, which has been the most important gallery of the museum. Before we talk about the galleries and its artifacts, I'd like to say a few, very concisely, about Nawab Salarjung 1, 2, and 3. This family is from Oasis Kharali, from Medina, Saudi Arabia, where they came from there to India and settled here and served the Nizams at that time. Nawab Salarjung Mukhtar Mulk Turab Ali Khan was the first who served 3 Nizams at the same time, starting from Nizam the 4th fifth, and finally the sixth. When he had joined Nizam the fourth, he was 18 or 19 years old. At that young age, the moment he took the reins in his hands, he noticed that the coffers were empty, the administration was at the brink of collapse, and the gentry of Hyderabad were in a chaos because of lack of security. For this young man to take over at that age and to put all this right was a Herculean task. But Mukhtar Mulk, with his ability and his administrative skill, took it over and did such a commendable job that he is remembered and will be remembered for posterity, because he was the man who was the architect of the modern Hyderabad. Because those days there was a lot of dishevel, there were insurgencies, and the British were there, more or less, ruling everyone. And that was why his lands, one after the other, were being pledged to the British for them to supply security to the state. But later on, Mukhtar Mulk went around and made it a point to see that this loan which was there, which was outstanding, was paid, and the state was given smooth administrative proclamation. The Nizam then was the Nizam fourth. His name was Nasirud-Dawla. Nasirud-Dawla was, a person who was of few words and depended mostly on Saladin I, Mukhtar al-Mulk. And that was the time when the railways were introduced, posts, telegraphs, and currency was introduced, and the foundations for different progressive activities were stated, like education and other faculties. But with all this, Mukhtar Mulk, at the end of his career, took over the job of bringing up the then Nizam, who was 6 years old. That was the sixth Nizam. And he showed his loyalty by bringing him up in such a manner which befitted his royalty. And after that, he made it a point to see that the then Nizam, Mahbub Ali Khan, was given proper education. He also saw to it that he was taken around Hyderabad as a prospective ruler who would tomorrow rule the state. But it was ironical that Mukhtar Mulk died the same year when he was to be coronated. After him, his elder son Laik Ali Khan was the Diwan. And Laik Ali Khan was brought up with Mir Mahbub Ali Khan, the then Nizam, had taken over the charge. He was as brilliant and as famous as his father, Turab Ali Khan. But unfortunately, he didn't live long because he died at the age of 26. Saladin III took over. He was made the Diwan. He worked with the Nizam for a few years, after which there were some differences which were unable to be sorted out. He resigned and then took up the most important aspect and hobby of his life, that was to purchase all pieces of art which were becoming totally devoid of any attention. He took them up in such a way that he started collecting everything. The most important thing is, people at times are experts in different lines. Like some people are expert in marble, some people are expert in glass, some people are expert in calligraphy and things like that. But here was a man who knew nearly everything without being given proper education for this. He had an eye to collect everything, right from his toys, which were well preserved during his childhood, which are still there in our museum today on exhibition. And apart from this, his grandfather also collected a lot of things. Normally, it is said that it is a one man's collection, but no, it is not right. It is actually a three-generation collection. Yes, the fact is that Saladin III was the man who collected the most. And today, if Saladin was alive, I am sure he would have been very happy, because at that time the coffers were filled in all his palaces. There was no space left. There was paucity of space. And then Saladin would also sit down and wonder what would happen to these beautiful pieces of art, which I have collected, my grandfather has collected, and my family members have collected. And finally, he was not in a mood to give this over to anyone. But as luck would have it, he also passed away. And then this was left behind in a big political and mostly family feuds. And finally, you see, they all got together, and the family members got together and said that this must be handed over to the nation for this to live for posterity and to see that this is preserved. I always say that had Saladin lived, he would have been very happy, for the museum is really being taken care of very well. And all the articles which are there in the museum, which are amounting to about 50,000, are well preserved. Thank you very much, please.